I'm looking at the news today, and I'm seeing what I think are really two huge stories that you need to know about and that we all need to be talking about. And my prediction is that you will not hear either of these stories, which I think are the two most important stories in the news today. You will not hear either one of them discussed in any kind of depth, and probably not at all by the corporate media tonight, including the so-called progressive corporate media. So that said, let's just, cover them. The first has to do with the death of the internet. You'll recall a couple of weeks ago when the district court or circuit court, which is it? It's the D.C. Circuit. That's right. The old judges used to ride the circuit back in the day when they were also on the Supreme Court. Okay, the D.C. Circuit Court, this is the Court of Appeals, the one step below the Supreme Court, knocked down net neutrality and said, internet service providers, in other words, the people who carry the web into your home, that connection point from the backbone, from the giant tubes that run across the country and between cities, from there to your house, now the FCC can determine that they're a common carrier. In other words, they basically gave the FCC a little more power. They said the FCC can determine that they're a common carrier, and they have to just let anybody through who wants to in the same way, just like they've said phone companies are common carriers. So if I get a call from Shane or if I get a call from Danielle, the phone company can't say, well, Shane called you, that's an extra $1.50. Or they can't say to Shane, you want to call Hartmann? It's going to cost you an extra $1.50 because we know that you talk fast. And Danielle talks slower, so, she's cheaper. I mean, this is really how it works with common carriers. A common carrier, you can't charge based on what's in the package, right? UPS is a common carrier. They can charge based on weight or size. In other words, you can charge based on how many bytes somebody's using or bits, which has always been the case. But you can't, or how much time they're using, but you can't charge based on what's in the package. UPS doesn't pick up a package and say, diamond necklace from Tiffany's. We're going to charge $45 to deliver this. Swimsuit from Walmart. We'll deliver that for $1.50. They don't do that. They're a common carrier. Common carriers cannot discriminate. The post office is a common carrier. Trucking companies are common carriers. They can't charge you more to move your furniture across the country if you've got fancy furniture versus not fancy furniture. I mean, you can pay more for insurance, but in terms of just shipping the stuff, there's a flat rate, more or less, or there's a range of rates. And, the same with pretty much anything. So common carrier rules, you got this. The FCC said, the Supreme Court, or the D.C. Circuit Court, one step below the Supreme Court said, the FCC can decide that Comcast or Verizon or AT&T or whoever you happen to get your internet from is a common carrier. They can decide that, or they can decide not to decide that. And the FCC decided not to decide that. Tom Wheeler is the chairman of the FCC. Before that, he was the head lobbyist for companies like Comcast. And before that, he was the head lobbyist for companies like AT&T. And he made $19 million doing that. And now he's running the FCC. And so, what a surprise. So Comcast is trying to buy Time Warner, and even without Time Warner, they're huge, and they already own NBC and MSNBC and NBC Universal and all that stuff. And everybody was wondering, and we were talking about it here, Netflix is being slowed down on some networks. One of the people who works in this office has Fios from Verizon. And they've been slowing down Netflix over the last couple of weeks. So I was wondering, is Netflix going to get on our side and petition the FCC to say ISPs are common carriers? They cannot discriminate against Netflix. I mean, the fact of the matter is, for somebody right now in D.C. using, according to, actually, I shouldn't use this as an individual example because it's just an individual example. But, somebody who has an ISP that has decided that they're going to slow down Netflix, because Netflix accounts for about half of all the non-pornographic content on the web. And right now they're saying basically we're going to slow you down if you're watching Netflix, but we're not going to slow you down if you're watching porn. So I was waiting for Netflix to say, wait a minute, that's wrong. We're going to sue you. Instead, what Netflix did is they went to Comcast and they said, well, who knows what they said? This is my guess as to how this thing went down. Something like, Comcast, you guys are the cable TV business, and you're also the biggest internet service provider in the country, or will soon be the biggest by and large. The biggest is buying roughly the second biggest. We see that you are moving the internet into a cable TV model. Now, a cable TV provider, if I'm CBS and I want to be on the air in the New York City market, I have to pay RCN, I have to pay Verizon, I have to pay, whoever, Comcast. I don't know what all the companies are that provide internet service in Manhattan, that have licenses and agreements and have wires running under the buildings and through the streets and whatnot. But basically, you have to pay each one of them to be on that cable system. And so the cable company says, okay, we're going to open 120 channels on our cable system. And, $500,000 a year, $1 million for the first 20 channels. The next 50 channels are $750,000. I have no idea what the numbers are, and I guarantee you they're a lot larger than those numbers I just quoted. But basically, you pay to be on, on one of the cable channels. And so Netflix goes to Comcast, in my opinion, and says, we see that you are turning the internet into something like cable TV. We would like to be channel 1. We want to be the first channel. We want to have the fastest speeds of anything. We want it so that when somebody downloads Netflix, they're going to get it faster than when they download porn. And so Comcast says, cool. Instead of running you through the backbone, through these big backbone companies that carry internet traffic along with, all the porn and everything else. And I say porn not because I'm obsessed with porn, but because it actually, depending on whose statistics you're looking at, represents somewhere between 10 and 40% of all the content, all the web content going on right now. So it's huge. But this is not about porn, but you get the point. There's pretty much not that much other, YouTube. I mean, it's Google owns YouTube, and so pretty soon they're going to have to cut these kind of deals. Except that people don't watch YouTube for 5 hours during the day. They may watch YouTube for 4 minutes or 6 minutes or 10 minutes or maybe an hour. Although increasingly people, now that YouTube is starting to get into the streaming business, our show's available on YouTube as a continuous stream. Increasingly, as YouTube gets into this business, they're probably going to have to go to Comcast and say, okay, here's some money. Deliver us fast, too. We want to be channel 2. And then Hulu's going to come along and say, we'll be channel 3. And so what's going on here is basically the barriers to entry are getting really, really high. When I was a kid, you could start an FM or a UHF television station, and I know 2 people who did this. You could start a UHF television station with about $10,000 to $15,000 investment back in the 60s. The barriers to entry were virtually non-existent. Anybody could start an FM or a UHF TV station. It was really, really simple. There was lots of bandwidth. It was widely available. You had a lot of entrepreneurs who started out, and that's how a lot of these cable channels now started out. They started out as UHF TV stations up in the high bands, channel 27, channel 27. And then they morphed into, over time, the Food Channel or the Discovery Channel or whatever. The UHF station got a place on the cable system. And then once they had a place in the cable system, they got bought out by a network. And then the network, reinvented themselves 4 times. And they went, and now they're MTV. And I see the same thing happening on the internet. And then the cable companies make it on both ends. They get paid to carry the stations, and then they come to you and they say, we will give you 25 stations for $39.95 a month, but if you want MSNBC, it's going to be an extra $5. If you want HBO, it's going to be an extra $10. In some cases, they share that money with the network. In other cases, they don't. Depends on who's getting packaged with what and how. And that's what's next. That's the next shoe that's going to drop. I predict it's going to take about a year. And they're going to come to us and say, oh, you want streaming video? Well, that's extra $10 a month.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
The net of this is that this is the death of a garage-style business. Entrepreneurs forget it. It is now a business for oligarchs only.